Mexico is an amazing place to live, but it's not for everyone.
And if you move here expecting everything to work just like it did back home, you're in for a rough time.
This video isn't about criticizing Mexico, not at all. It's about helping foreigners understand the reality, because if you can't adapt, you won't be happy here.
Mexico is not going to change to fit your expectations. You have to change your mindset to fit Mexico.
So let's talk about some of the daily struggles that foreigners face, so you know exactly what to expect before you move here.
Let's kick it off with the number 10 reason why you might not be able to handle living in Mexico. Unreliable utilities.
Utilities in Mexico can be, well, a little unpredictable at times. One minute everything is fine, and then the next minute you have no power, you have no water, you have no Wi-Fi.
And if you work online like we do, you'll want to have a backup plan. Internet is crucial for us, so we have two providers. If one goes out, we simply switch to the other one.
It costs us more, but when you need internet for work, sometimes you have to suck it up and have two providers just in case.
Yeah.
Some areas are better than others. Here in our town of San Miguel de Allende, our internet and electricity are pretty reliable, way better than it used to be when we first moved here years ago. But even in big cities, a storm or construction can leave you in the dark, literally. And lately, with more people installing air conditioning units, power outages during the heat waves have been happening more and more.
And then there's water. One day there's great pressure, the next, a weak trickle.
Or sometimes there's no water at all.
If your home has a water storage tank, a tinaco, on the roof, that helps. But when the city water shuts off for a day, you really start appreciating
Or 2 or 3.
Or a week. You really start appreciating every drop. And that's why most homes have tinacos in Mexico.
We've got a large underground cistern in our courtyard and 2 tinacos on our roof, and that gives us enough water to last at least a week. We also keep it under constant pressure with a pump and a bladder system. We find that you can't live without all that stuff.
But when the power goes out, so does the water.
Yeah, unfortunately. Luckily, it doesn't happen too often, and usually the power is back in minutes, but sometimes it can go out for a couple of hours depending on why the power went out.
So if you can't handle occasional power, water, or internet outages, Mexico may not be for you.
Walking in Mexico can be a bit of an adventure. Sidewalks here are, let's just say, not built for daydreaming. You really need to pay attention and look at your feet when you're walking. You've got cracks, you've got potholes, random steps, and sidewalks that just end out of nowhere, and you really need to pay attention.
One time when we were walking with friends, remember what happened?
Oh yeah. There was this little piece of metal sticking out of the ground.
It's a hose bib.
It was a hose bib, wasn't it? And we were walking with another couple, and I didn't know what happened. All I saw was like a tree that just like, ooh, fell over like this, bam, and hit the ground. And then all of a sudden he did a push-up and he bounced right back up off the ground. I think he just got embarrassed, and that was your way of saving yourself, I guess.
I don't know.
But what happened?
My foot landed right in front of the hose bib, and when I tried to make the step forward,
To walk forward with
the
it?
foot was jammed in behind it.
Oh man.
So the flow took my body forward.
And all I saw was bam, and then bam. Good luck if you're wearing heels or pushing a baby stroller. No way. People with mobility challenges will find Mexican sidewalks especially tricky. We've learned to always watch where we step, literally.
But on the bright side, after a while, you develop some serious reflexes.
Just think of it as a built-in balance workout.
But if you're not up for navigating uneven sidewalks and surprise obstacles every day, Mexico might not be for you.
Okay, so let's talk about the next thing, which is bathroom rules in Mexico.
Specifically toilet paper.
In many places, flushing toilet paper is a big no-no because the plumbing just can't handle that.
Instead, you'll see little trash bins next to the toilets, and that's where it goes. And if you forget, well, let's just say you don't want to be the reason for a bathroom emergency.
Not every place has this rule. Many modern buildings have stronger pipes, but when in doubt, check for a sign. For example, our place, it's a modern building. Even though we built it in the Spanish colonial style and it looks old, the plumbing is new. So if you ever come to stay with us at Antigua Capilla, rest assured that your toilet can handle the paper.
By the way, can you hear that?
I can.
We'll talk about the noise issue in Mexico coming up, but right now we're having a neighborhood festival that's lasting all day long.
Well, it started yesterday evening with music and big loud booms, and then it started up again today at 6 in the morning. And right now all the locals are outside. Maybe we'll put some B-roll in later so you can see the festival that's going on right now.
But back to the toilet paper issue. It takes some getting used to, but trust us, it quickly becomes second nature. Just be mindful at first because muscle memory might have you reaching for that flush button.
Yeah, it does happen. So if the thought of tossing toilet paper in a bin instead of flushing it freaks you out, Mexico might not be the place for you. Speaking of bathrooms, imagine you're out and about and you really need to go and surprise, the bathroom isn't free. You better have some change with you.
Yep. In many public places like bus stations, markets, gas stations, pretty much everywhere except for maybe restaurants, you have to pay a small fee to use the restroom.
And guess what? They usually only take coins, and often it's exact change, like 2 pesos, 3 pesos, or 5 pesos is the most I've ever seen.
No, it's getting up to 10 pesos in some
Really?
places. Yeah.
Wow.
So if you're used to walking around cashless, this might catch you off guard. I remember one time when we were in the Jardín, remember that story? We were out with some friends, and I really needed to go to the bathroom, but I only had a 100 peso bill in my pocket, and this particular bathroom had the turnstiles that required the exact change. I started thinking, how am I going to get this change? And remember, there were some stores around the Jardín where you can just go and buy knickknacks. So I ran back to one of those stores, bought myself a candy, and got the exact change to go back to the bathroom.
Some places even give you a set amount of toilet paper when you pay. So you really need to know what you're going in the bathroom to do, how much paper you're going to need, and you might have to ask for a few extra squares because it might not be enough.
And here's a pro tip for you. Always keep a few coins handy. It's a small price to pay for relief when you need it most.
So if the idea of paying to pee or carrying emergency coins sounds like too much hassle, Mexico might not be the place for you. And if you're used to drinking straight from the tap, Mexico might take some getting used to.
Tap water here is not safe to drink. Many homes have filtration systems that take care of removing particulates and microorganisms. So for brushing our teeth and showering, we don't worry about water getting in our mouths. But unless you have a reverse osmosis system to remove things like arsenic, buying or refilling large water jugs, garrafones, it's a part of life here.
And when you run out, that's a problem because these garrafones are really heavy. They're about 20 kilos or 44 pounds. So I sometimes have a hard time lifting one up onto our countertop and I have to call this guy to help me. Some people get them delivered, like we get it delivered weekly, but if you don't plan ahead, you'll be lugging one home yourself.
For us, it wasn't a big deal after a while. But if you can't live without instant tap water, this might be an inconvenience you don't want to deal with.
Mexico is full of amazing smells. Fresh tortillas, sizzling tacos, roasted coffee, really delicious smells.
But just as quickly as you're enjoying the delicious aromas, bam, sewer smell.
Oh yeah. It's a wild mix out there. One second it's carne asada heaven, and then the next you're going, what the heck was that smell? After living in San Miguel for a while, we figured out which areas make us want to hit the recycled air button in the car, or when we're riding in the taxi, hold your nose. Unfortunately, we don't always remember in time though.
Some areas have aging drainage systems, and when it's hot or after a heavy rain, certain smells just escape.
And sometimes it's not even sewage, just a mystery odor floating through the air. Sometimes I think it's the farmland that's not too far outside of town.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's that smell that we smell sometimes in the early morning hours.
It could be because it smells like manure.
Yeah.
But we also have different smells that come through here, and oftentimes we can't figure out what it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a fire off in the distance. Sometimes it's that.
It's
random.
You just never know.
You get used to it, but if you have a sensitive nose, Mexico might be a sensory overload that might make you think twice about moving here.
The good news, at least for us, the smell of hot chocolate almost always wins. Ah, bedtime. Time for some peaceful sleep.
Or not.
Mexico is lively, and that doesn't stop just because it's late. Nope, nope, nope.
Fireworks for any occasion, roosters that don't care if it's 2 a.m., street vendors with loudspeakers, and fiestas that go all night long.
You think, okay, it's gotta quiet down soon, and then suddenly, boom, another firework.
And don't forget the church bells. Some ring at 6 a.m. sharp, whether you're ready or not.
If you're a light sleeper, this might be a deal breaker for you.
And if you live near a plaza, expect music and parties that will last until dawn.
The thing is, it's not just random noise. A lot of it is cultural celebrations, religious events, parades. Noise is just a part of life here, and there are many festivals that take place all night long here in San Miguel. One of these all-night festivals is the Señor de la Columna, a pre-Easter religious procession, which is actually coming up very soon. People stay up through the night decorating the streets with carpets made from sawdust and flowers, with the climax occurring right at sunrise. They carry this statue of the Lord of la Columna from the nearby town of Atotonilco to San Miguel de Allende over the carpets all the way to San Juan de Dios Church here in town. And the fireworks are set off throughout the night.
Another even louder festival is La Alborada.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, if you like fireworks. A celebration that takes place on the weekend closest to the 29th of September in honor of San Miguel Arcángel, featuring a spectacular hour-long fireworks display from, guess what time? 4 in the morning to 5 in the morning. Eventually you get used to it, or at least learn to plan around it. We have to admit that sometimes we plan to get away from here during some of the louder festivals.
But you know, you do get used to it. If I know the Señor de la Columna is tomorrow, or whatever the festival's going to be, you know, they're announced, so you do know. A lot of the times you do know the big festivals. You go to bed, you close all your windows, and you put your earplugs in, and you sleep.
Yeah.
You don't listen to it. So don't let it deter you is what I'm trying to say, because sometimes you could just get up and actually go see the festivals and enjoy them.
Yeah.
Or you can opt to sleep through them. Or maybe you don't sleep that night, but you sleep the next day. So I don't see it as a big deal.
If you really need sleep, you can invest in some good earplugs or a white noise app, or do what she does and just put the fan on full blast.
Yeah, I like to sleep with a fan.
But also, you just kind of get used to these random fireworks going off in the middle of the night that personally, I don't even hear half of them.
But if constant noise drives you crazy and you're not willing to adapt, you might want to rethink if Mexico is the right place for you. Driving in Mexico. Buckle up, it's an adventure.
Stop signs, more like suggestions.
Yeah.
Merging, a test of bravery.
If you're used to strict traffic rules, you might be in for a shock.
The right of way, it often goes to whoever takes it first.
And crosswalks don't always mean stop.
Here in San Miguel, though, we live in a bit of a traffic bubble. Cars
Yeah.
actually yield to pedestrians,
Yes.
and drivers take turns at intersections. But even here, especially on weekends, we have to be careful because out-of-towners that don't know the local rules come here and drive their way.
Yeah, they come and drive like they're in Mexico City, but truly we drive differently here in San Miguel. A much slower pace, and we respect the pedestrian. And let's not forget the motorcycles that zip through the traffic like it's a real-life game of Frogger. For some reason, motorcycles don't follow the every other car rule at intersections. They just latch on to the car in front of them and they just breeze right through.
Driving here isn't impossible, but it's not for the faint of heart. The key? Stay alert, be patient, and embrace the chaos. You can't drive on autopilot here. It's more of a defensive driving style for sure.
Honestly, once you get the hang of it, it's not so bad. But if driving stresses you out, Mexico might not be the place for you.
But hey, if you can drive here, you can drive anywhere.
Oh, I don't know about that. You think I can drive here, but I can't drive in India?
Almost anywhere.
While we're on the topic of driving, let's talk about getting pulled over in Mexico. It happens, sometimes for a real reason, sometimes not so much.
While most cops are just doing their jobs, some might be looking for a little extra cash, also known as mordida.
If an officer hints at a mordida, you might feel pressured to pay to make the problem just go away.
They won't flat out ask you for a bribe, but they're experts at intimidation, saying that they'll impound your car or making you nervous enough that you just end up volunteering to pay them just to get it over with.
But you don't have to. Always ask for an official ticket. Many times, just insisting on that will make the issue disappear. Of course, some corrupt cops will stall, threaten, or try to wear you down. You could be stuck there for an hour before they finally either give you a ticket or they get just tired of it and just let you go.
And if you did actually break a rule, just take the ticket. Some fines are cheaper than the convenience fee corrupt cops might ask for. Sometimes.
Sometimes. I remember when we had just bought our new car that we have right now. So this was 2014.
Yeah.
And we took a trip with another couple and we drove to Mexico City. And right before you get to Mexico City, you have to go through the state of Mexico, el Estado de Mexico, which is notorious. We didn't know at the time, but it's notorious for corrupt cops pulling you over. We had our new license plates on the car, but you also get a sticker license plate that you're supposed to put on the left-hand side window of the back window of the car. And I didn't put it on. I didn't know that you were supposed to put it on. No one told me, and we don't do that in the States. So I wasn't sure, and I had left it in the back of the car. So we get pulled over, and the cops say, you don't have the sticker in the back of the car. And I said to Francisco, it's in the back, in one of those containers in the back. Sure enough, we went to the back and it wasn't there. We couldn't find it. I forget because you were talking to the cop.
He was telling us basically that we had broken the law because the sticker wasn't on there, and that it was Friday afternoon and they're going to impound the car, and you can go and pick it up on Monday. He's going to give us a ticket, impound the car, and on Monday you can go pick up the car. You know, we were only going to be there till Sunday. We were supposed to head back to San Miguel. And, you know, we just started talking back and forth very, very casually. He said, well, you can take care of your ticket here, but we didn't have money.
We didn't have money.
Yeah.
He said, well, what bank would you like? Would you like the Santander or the HSBC, or do you prefer this other bank? And we're like, what the heck? So he escorted us to an ATM so that we could get money out and pay him.
So we got the money out. He hands over the rule book through the window, and we place the money in between the pages. He closes up the book. We said to him, well, what's going to stop some other cop down the road from pulling us over and giving us another ticket? And he said, oh, don't worry. And he wrote this little code on a piece of paper.
A little piece of paper like this big.
Yeah.
And he gave you the piece of paper.
And he said, just show them this code and they'll let you go. So obviously they're experts at what they're doing, and they've already communicated with each other, and this is the way that you get out of having to pay another fine down the road.
Incredible, but true.
And then there's random checkpoints, sometimes for routine checks, sometimes just for fundraising. Then there are these unofficial road taxes that you run into while driving towards a famous destination. For example, when driving to the butterfly sanctuaries, you might come across locals blocking the road asking for a toll. These aren't even police, they're just people who won't let you through their community unless you pay their toll. And it's not that much, it might be 30 pesos or something, or $1.50. But if you want to get to that point that you need to get through, you have to go through these communities and you have to pay them an access toll.
We haven't been to Celaya in years, but we remember how the transit cops there used to set up checkpoints to check for smog verification stickers. They were big sticklers on this. Smog checks are required every 6 months in Mexico, and it's easy to forget when you have to do them every 6 months, even on a new car. If you ever got caught at one of these checkpoints, you knew that you would be paying something to get out of it. Most recently, we've even seen them carrying portable credit card machines.
Now, we don't know if this is just to facilitate the ticket fee or if this money is actually being funneled to some other creative account.
Who knows?
So what's the key? If you're ever at a checkpoint, stay calm, be polite, and don't offer money at first.
Most of the time, if your papers are in order, they'll just wave you through. But if dealing with the occasional shady cop sounds like a headache you're not willing to handle, then maybe Mexico is not for you. In Mexico, mañana doesn't always mean tomorrow. Sometimes it just means not today.
You make an appointment, you clear up your schedule, you're ready for 10 a.m. sharp.
10 a.m. comes, 10 a.m. goes, then it's noon, and then it's 2 p.m.
And just when you think they're never coming, surprise, they casually show up like nothing happened. The concept of strict schedules, not always a thing here.
If you're the type who needs things to be on time, this might drive you absolutely nuts. But if you embrace it, it's kind of freeing.
Things will get done eventually, just not always when you expect it.
Patience isn't just a virtue here, it's a survival skill.
And honestly, once you stop fighting it, it feels a little less stressful.
Do any of these sound like a deal breaker for you? Or do you think you could handle it?
Let us know in the comments.
At the end of the day, Mexico isn't for everyone. But for those who can adapt, it can be an incredible place to live.
We've learned to roll with the punches, embrace the quirks, and honestly, we wouldn't trade it for anything.
If you're up for the adventure, Mexico might just be for you. So thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye. If you really need sleep, invest in good earplugs or white noise app. If you really need to get your sleep, invest in some good earplugs or a white noise.
Oh my God!